kind of difference in strategy from what we've seen from these runners so far in the tournament. Looks like we're getting started here, though. I do not see a sword, so we do not have a sword at the uncle. He does tell us the seed is the worst, though. Let's see if this first chest confirms that.
Well, the first check contradicts that with a early movement.
Yeah, immediately making the uncle feel like he's, I don't know, just giving us a load of it. But we already have the swan song. Not sure who exactly is playing it, but we appreciate it. Or actually, we have an input display. Someone may have caught that. I think it's JCopes. Nevertheless, we have an item, a weapon of some sort. It's a bomb start today, so we're starting off blue.
Yeah, bombs are a pretty technical start.
So with bombs in our inventory and that being our method of killing these required enemies, do you think we're going to see some conventional strats, or do you think this is going to look pretty same for both of these runners today?
Well, I haven't been catching a lot of race lately, but I think they have their bomb strats practiced and ready to go.
I sure hope so. It would be bad for one of our runners to run out before they can open up that last bombable wall in the back of Escape. Of course, if that does happen to either of our runners, they can sacrifice some time taking a death warp to go back to one of the few start locations that you have here in the Escape. So far, no bombs wasted on this blue guard. Moving on forward, we do still have a green guard, a blue guard, and a ball and chain guard here in the basement. We'll probably throw some pots for the ball and chain guard to preserve bombs, but, you know, who knows? Some people may have some bomb setups for that.
And we have Power Glove in our first chest in Escape.
Well, there's some extra cash money in our wallet. Furaime showing us some very nice bomb strats to make sure that guard doesn't emerge from the room. However, there are a couple of faster ways we can do this room. Looks like both of our runners are trying to be safe with their bombs.
But Furaime is faster on the start of the sequence overall.
Well, as to be expected, we're throwing some bombs. There is an extra bomb here from this guard, and Furaime is absolutely going to pick that up. Oh, and interestingly enough, JCopes4Life did not get that bomb drop, so next green guard he kills will probably give him one, but no guarantees. It's a 50-50 coin flip.
So they need one bomb left for the Escape. The rest will be opened up holes in Carico and the back of Escape now. The bomb is for the Key Rat, arguably the hardest enemy to bomb.
Yeah, it would not be unusual to see someone just pick up a bomb and hold it all the way into the Key Rat's face, just taking the harder damage rather than wasting an extra bomb by accidentally missing. Well, pretty straightforward escape so far. Furaime is leaving the basement at 4 minutes. JCopes4Life about 5 or maybe 6 seconds behind. Still pretty tight spread overall. Going into the back, though, this becomes a little more execution heavy with both bombs and, of course, our movement. We have some dark rooms to navigate. Thankfully, the game does give us a free light cone in standard mode. And if we ever had to come back through here, say if we didn't have a bomb.
Yeah, I don't think they need 5 bombs for the Key Rat. We're in top 32 after all.
You certainly hope so, right? We've seen some pretty crazy things this tournament, though, and at this point I've learned to not, cross anything out. It's all possible. So as Blast Egg mentioned just a moment ago, we definitely need some bombs for Kakariko. There are ways to get more bombs, but with only 50 rupees at the moment, it's a little bit gutsy to try to buy bombs. We want to have another 100 for the bottle vendor and a handful of other rupees for opportunities to find items early on in the game. We do get confirmation from JCopes4Life that that was a map, so that means we will have to check all of the chests in the escape, including the Sanctuary chest. First key right here for Furaime, nailing it.
It's Jacob's turn for the key rat. Ooh.
Uh-oh. Well, he does get the bomb refund, but he kills the wrong rat. Oh, this is bad for Jacobes. We're down to 1 heart and last bomb. And the rat goes the other way.
Well, that's what we call commentator's curse, right?
I mean, like we said, Randomizer, you know, and Link to the Past, all kinds of things can happen. So JCopes4Life, knowing that if you save and quit or Death Warp, either or, you will start back here at the entrance to the back half of Escape with 3 bombs. Now, we're hoping for a better key rat this time around, because that's a big time loss.
We have Furaime only finding 2 big 20s in the back of Escape, so nothing big there.
We did get a quick peek at the map. I only caught a blue pendant at Hera and a non-5/6 crystal at Eastern Palace. Did you happen to see Desert?
Well, our tracker certainly did. He caught a red crystal at Desert.
Alright, well, we got attempt number 2 here. JCopes4Life feeling the frustration, playing as a song of his people to express it, but he has his key in just 1 bomb throw, so he will emerge from the escape with his 3 items back here. And of course, as we saw before, there was a power glove in this escape by the tracker. I didn't actually catch that. Looks like Furaime has picked up a heart container, not Sanctuary Heart, in the forest.
And the mushroom spot was a bump back, so he's not going to pick that up.
Yeah, after the escape section and maybe a couple of other small, locations in the game, ooh, gets a 50-50 chance on that bomb drop. That's really great game knowledge for Furaime there. But after this, first couple of sections, there's really not much need for bomb capacity, so not surprised to see him skip it there.
Well, they still don't have the weapon, so they still want some bombs for the mini Modron cave later.
That's a good point. We still have nothing to kill enemies with but those bombs. Well, and a fire rod. Furaime finds that in Thieves' hut over here, or Thieves' hideout. So very fortunate couple of chests here, getting some bombs as well, which will help, as you mentioned, with Mini Moldorm Cave and all of the other locations. And is that a Moon Pearl?
Yep, that's a Moon Pearl. So if we want to find Hammer somewhere around here, we can go straight to Skull Woods. Not beat it, but we can clear it all but most of that itself.
Well, we got some information from JCopes4Life over here. Pulling on the tree gives us a vanilla tree pull of blue rupees. And Agonim's item here in Lumberjack Cave is a bomb bag upgrade, so that's not a reason that we're going there. However, we could still end up having to. So Dark World access seems to be, on chat's mind, and I don't disagree with them for that. We are about a hammer or a mitt or Titan's mitts away from, being able to just kind of access the Dark World. This does give us, oh wow, there's the 50% rebate from the bottle vendor. But hey, less than 10 minutes in, the goose is loose. How about that?
Okay, that's the moment of silence while the goose is losing. Well, it's certainly nice to have. Like you can check Agina's cave, Ice Rock cave with relative ease with the that flute now.
So this really simplifies the South Shore, doesn't it?
Totally. And you don't need to save and quick to go there either.
Well, Furaime, recognizing his time savings, has apparently decided to clip the chicken just to celebrate, and he's successful in doing so. Very nicely done.
We are near the end of a Carico trip here. We're still lacking a few items for Dark World access. All we find here is Fire Rod and Moon Pearl.
Yeah, that library there being another bomb bag upgrade, definitely not going to be coming back with the boots for that one. JCopes probably feeling the pressure right now, playing us yet again the song of his people.
And Furaime decides with that main items in play, he goes straight to race game and got rewarded with the Titan Smith.
You know, he can probably lift at this point, bruh. That's definitely going to help him out tremendously, and it's fantastic to get that right away, as that does give us several different places we can go. You can even go to Myershed at this point. And I think that might be what Furaime is doing, having just checked the desert ledge. Ooh, Dark World map check. We have pendants at Palace of Darkness and Skull Woods, and our other 5-6, I believe, was at Swamp Palace, if I saw that right.
I think I saw it at Ice Palace.
Thank you, that was correct. And was that a Quake medallion for Misery Mire?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's the first sword. Wow, I can't believe we had to go into the Dark World at 12 minutes to get our first sword. That's not something I figured I would say at all in this tournament.
Yep, neither do I. And that puts Skull Woods at beatable. It's a green pendant though. Not sure if they fancy doing that.
Yeah, and fighter sword at that. No half magic. I mean, you're right, it's beatable, but does anybody really want to at this point? How phenomenal would that be, though, if something like major progression was behind Mothula?
Well, we have a lot of places to check before going there, like the Horse of Shore.
Yeah, speaking of that, I think we just got our first bottle green goo here in the dam.
Well, that sure help with the Masuna fight. We can have another bar of Fire Rod if they were to do that.
You know, I'd almost think just for the free magic refill, it's worth it to kill any other boss at this point first.
Like Blind?
True, although Furaime remembering that the bush crab is a small magic drop, going to actually get full magic from this, may potentially use some magic against these mini mole bombs?
Yeah, it's either Fire Rod or bombs. No way, he has a sword, didn't he?
Oh, the combo strats. We're getting 1 bomb, 2 bombs. Only needed the first one, but Furaime getting through there with speed.
And some we found on bombs too.
Other than that, though, an assorted junk cave, in my opinion, definitely not as hype as we're used to seeing here in version 29. Well, now that we have our own personal Uber driver, not having a lot of difficulty getting around Hyrule at this point. Looks like Furaime is going to go towards Eastern area.
Yeah, with Eastern being a crystal, he might want to come back after a bow, but he's going to check his 3 free items as Ashras.
And it looks like JCopes4Life is going to use his Fire Rod, knowing that that bush crab is, in fact, a small magic decanter, taking advantage of the speed that you can clear this out. Although Furaime did have a pretty quick room himself, he's checking the back, and we're getting a bug net, 20 roops, and a bomb bag upgrade. So kind of a bust over here in Eastern Palace area. And as you mentioned before, it'd probably be best to come back here with a bow. While none of our top 32 runners are likely to have issues with dark rooms, it doesn't hurt to have something else as well to light our way.
Jacob is checking Ice Rock Cave. Furaime did not check that. We'll see what he gets here. Ooh. A second sword.
Was that the sick kid of Destiny? Like, that is the chosen sick kid. Or what, the sick kid of Legend, maybe?
Well, it could have been sick of the uncle if he get that sword first, but right now it's the sick of Destiny.
Well, keep an eye out, folks. Someone else in Hyrule may have our Triforce of Courage, but we'll stay tuned on that one. So if I recall correctly, there was nothing in Ice Rock Cave.
I think I saw a heart piece. Not sure. Nothing notable.
Right. Well, with that, JCopes4Life is going to find his first sword in the Mire Shed. Probably going to find his second one pretty shortly after. I can't see a reason why you wouldn't check Sick Kid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, looks like more love so far in Village of Outcasts. A lot of things we can't do here yet, actually, but I'm wondering if we're going to see a dive into Thieves Town.
It's a bit of crystal dungeon, but you leave the big chest behind. So with that hook shot, that might change the calculation because the East Death Mountain and Dark Death Mountain is now open for Furaime.
Yeah, you know, that's a tough one, because it doesn't take that long if you get boots to check this chest if you need to come back. But you could very easily find progression. The first 4 chests of this dungeon, one of them is guaranteed to be the big key, and then everything else is, you know, open toss between the items of the dungeon and, of course, whatever's random in here. We found a piece of heart, so that's 1 down. Although I think it's wise to check this while you're here.
Yeah, there's a chance that you don't need a 6-down big chest, like it might have the compass or the small key itself, or just some random junk.
Well, looks like JCopes4Life is heading towards Village of Outcasts as well. Furaime has found all of the dungeon items at this point. We'll have a big key in this chest.
And that puts small key either in the big chest itself or the chest next to Maiden. And looks like he's leaving this town for now. He's death swapping.
Yeah, having the confirmation before you do the back half is very helpful. It does not take long to check these first 4 chests. And if you know you're going to come back here later to if you have the hammer at some point, this is very easy to get to. Really smart heads-up decision, in my opinion. I'm more inclined myself to actually complete the dungeon because, you know, completing plays, but if there was a time to do that, he picked the right one.
It looks like Furaime is not interested in doing Skullwoods. He's going to do a theme game and pick out a blacksmith, the frog, and they do some sort of world tour and then save and quit.
It's beginning to look like that, and interesting to see Furaime doing the digging game before having done Zora. Zora is in our logic, and it might be a while before we have the required 500 rupees, depending on our luck with random chests at this point.
Well, you can dig up 20 rupees. The digging game can pay for itself pretty easily.
That's a good point. We found pretty good rupees so far. Wow, can you dig it? It's lit. That was lamp.
Yep, it's totally lit, and it opens up hammer in Paths of Darkness, which requires Aghanim.
Oh yeah, good point. So there's some interesting routing possibilities here, and it kind of looks like based on this that our runners are almost lockstep with each other. I mean, JCopes4Life doing the digging game as we speak. Interestingly enough, not picking up all of the red rupees. I probably would at this point in his position, but obviously we can see what both of our runners are doing. They can't, so he might not be really thinking too much about Zora right now. And we get a fetch quest from Stumpy. How appropriate.
Yeah, just fetch into a different spot. Although with flute, that fetch quest is pretty quick. Although some runner would hold up to it until they found the Canos Maria to do the other fetch quest as well, or doing a save and quit before checking that. Both are very doable right now with that flute in hand.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Fake powder is a very handy thing to be able to do in really any tournament situation. You get to completely skip having to have that hammer and mirror, either or. So we are going to get a hype cave check and nothing to speak of in this cave today. I gotta say, one thing I'm really loving though about both of these runners right now is they both are using their hook shot to great effect. I've seen them already pulling themselves onto trees and anything that they can latch onto to save some frames here and there. It looks like they're taking this race very seriously.
Yep.
Well, since we were just talking about it, Furaime is not going to hold off for that fake powder. We're going to see what's behind the mushroom right now.
Not sure. He did save and quit out for the switch. He did save and quit out of Dark World for the fog. He might hard reset. Looks like opting not to.
Yeah, I find that interesting as well. Would have expected that particular strat, but all the same, it doesn't look like we're going to easily access the magic bat anytime soon. So maybe considering that as well.
So after the Smith is likely the Death Mountain area. Everything but the Hera area is open.
Holy moly, look, we have booksmiths today, and what a great time to have it before you go to your first trip up the mountain.
Well, the tablet is not accessible yet. That's a problem.
Yeah, we don't have a mirror or the hammer, which is unfortunately preventing us from. But all the same, with hookshot, we have quite a lot of Death Mountain available to us. There's a pretty decent chance we find one of those two there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so JCopes4Life is going to have his wordsmith paint him a reading rainbow before he heads up the mountain. Furaime has already picked up his ascension manual. He needs to make sure he can properly climb the mountain.
Mm-hmm. And get a hefty tip for rescuing the old man. Which puts a fake flipper to Zora area very economic for him.
It's interesting to consider that, 25 minutes almost into this race, that we're still considering a fake flipper South Shore right now. That's not the place I would imagine, or the place in a race, or the time in a race I would imagine it, but hey, very possible at this point. It's a good point that you mentioned it's going to be very economical.
Jacob's going to Steve's house as well. Let's see if we got complete the dungeon or the same to get the first 4 chests and getting 3 dungeon items on blows.
Yeah, and from what we can tell, this is pretty much effectively the same scenario that Furaime had. Not really anything different in progression besides maybe that lamp and book, but neither of those impact this dungeon. So this will be a true opportunity for divergence, or maybe just doing the exact same thing. It wouldn't surprise me either way, really.
Yeah, with the whole Death Mountain luring him, it is the crystal dungeon, so completing doesn't really consider time waste, I guess. So he might just do that.
We got a Paradox Cave giving us yet another green goo, though. Skull Wood's looking a little more appealing. And when it rains money, it pours. Furaime very close to 1,000 rupees at this point. Gonna try to do a bomb jump to save a ascension and pulls it off in the first try. Very nicely done.
And we saw a mirror, the routing next is likely the spiral cave and then go to dark world from that.
So it's looking like a lot of Tripe Cave this race, but we do have an Ether at the floating island, and if anything, if memory serves me correctly, most of these races have had the key under the doormat for these dungeons. Turtle Rock could very well be, blocked by that Ether. I mean, we don't have a bird toss, so I mean, you gotta have it somewhere, right?
Too bad the dead rocks are not on the Turtle Rock side of the portal. We can do Ether work on them? I'm not sure.
You know, I never considered it. I know Quake does, but huh. Ooh, wow, that must be Samaria. We have Spiral Cave, despite being a resident sleeper cave and a pump cave, still giving us that cane.
And if Furaime finds the mirror up here and Turtle Rock is Ether, he can go in right now. I'm not sure if he wants to, but he can. Oh, looking at the tracker, Jacob just picked up the Quake medallion in Thieves Town. So it's upstairs, so that thing should be behind Hammer.
Oh, so that's really interesting for what we have with Misery Mire. I'm wondering if that's going to come into play here. I mean, there's only, 2 items in Misery Mire, but it would be pretty nice if, for JCopes4Life at least, if this decision paid off pretty well going in there. Well, we do have that hook shot. Time to check these items in this cave. 300 rupees, so we're well over 1,000 for Furaime here. Still a few more chests. We've got potentially Sankart, maybe. Piece of Heart as well, getting in yet another container. And the Bombos medallion. So we know where all of the medallions are at this point.
Yep. And Jacob finds a small key in the maiden chest, so which means the big chest is going to be an item left behind. And
oh, so it is Quake today. Quake is interesting because JCopes4Life found that in Thieves Town, so Furaime potentially getting punished twice. Oh, and shout outs to folks behind the scenes reminding me that we did actually find Sanctuary Heart in the well in Kakariko. That's an important piece of information. Blind himself, though, just a quiver upgrade today.
so finding a small key in the maiden chest means the Quake medallion is in fact not behind the hammer. I think, yeah, it's not. So you can very well find the hammer in Mystery Mire at this point.
Not a place anybody would like to find it, but Furaime right now is checking Desert, looking to find any progression he can, because at this point it's kind of hard to figure out where the right place to go is in his shoes. We are boots locked from the right half of the dungeon, but we can check this big chest.
And we can be no, not Lemolas if he wants to.
Oh, the bow!
Well, that's another trip to Eastern. Guaranteed.
Yeah, that's literally everything we need for the dungeon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, good news for JCopes4Life, also heading in the same direction. Gonna check Agina's cave first. Don't blame him for that. Definitely a possibility of finding the boots before you go into the dungeon. Pretty logical. But with that bow, I mean, that's a really great weapon and resource to have. A lot of dungeons just made easier or simply completable with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think, isn't it still possible that logically we could still need Aghanim to get to the East Dark World?
Yeah, it remains true until we find a hammer or flippers.
So half an hour in, folks, Aghanim's still not dead in the game or in the logic.
Well, if we find the flippers, then the Aghanim is dead because the other way to require Aghanim at this point is the Fat Fairy, but the 5 crystal is Ice Buzz, which requires the hammer, which that puts hammer impossible in Fat Fairy.
Well, it looks like Furaime is actually going to finish off the Lamolus fight here. Using the last Fire Rod shot to do so, going to get rewarded with a piece of heart, maybe punished depending on your point of view.
It's not punishing. That's a second miner in desert. He does not need the right hand side. That's a map and the compass.
Oh, very astutely noticed there. So, yeah, that's confirmation for Furaime. So that's a big win. I hadn't considered that at all. Furaime is going to have the more efficient check of Agina, though, doing so right after the dungeon, not having to cross the desert completely before entering the palace. So a little bit of time saved for him there, on top of the good decision to fight Lamolus.
Looks like JCopes did not dive desert, so he does not have the bow. So, but that doesn't hurt him right now, yet.
Well, here are those Death Mountain checks for JCopes. However, Furaime appears to be heading towards Eastern, as we talked about before. I think you're spot on so far with your guesses today, Blast Egg. I mean, bow equals Eastern Palace, right?
I mean, confident routing is that if you have a clearable crystal dungeon, you just go clear it. So it's pretty easily guessed when you have one of that. So the interesting part is, does JCopes dive Turtle Rock here? He'll find a King Spiral Cave.
Yeah, he has everything he needs to do it. I mean, it's not comfortable to do, but with 10 hearts available to us in blue mail, I mean, it's not that bad either. We have green.
Well, he has everything but the Ice Rod. That's the point.
Oh, we don't have a hammer, though. We can't even enter. We need that portal.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Sorry.
But if
Guess
only
next
you had
time.
that, though.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be so hype if that was the one thing that, there's just some kind of vanilla flippers in Turtle Rock. You know how that is.
I don't want to think about that.
And as you mentioned before, I'm curious to see what will happen, but there's still that fake flipper play.
So it'd be interesting to see if JCopes dive Vision Mire next. He knows it's quick.
It's a tough one. I mean, it's doable, but no bow for Vitreous, Master Sword. You're going to want to complete it and kill the boss if you go in. I get the feeling that they're probably going to delay that a little bit. Well, in the midst of our commentary about Turtle Rock, I missed a lot of Eastern Palace there from Furaime, but I'm assuming that we haven't found anything progression in here based on the tracker.
Mm-hmm.
There is, of course, the boss Armos Knights, and we do have all the arrows we could ever want for that. So it should be pretty straightforward here. Oh, and a bottom right setup for Furaime. Well, that's the Armos Knights for you. We are down 2 crystals here 35 minutes into this race. Furaime has a lot of possibilities. Not sure what we should expect here.
Tying a loose end in Ice Rock Cave.
Wow, JCopes4Life also finding a 50-50 bomb drop underneath a rock. Both of our runners have found those in very random places so far. It's fun to see that.
And this looks like the Mire dip for JCopes4Life.
Yeah, we're heading in. I'm kind of curious to see if this is a full completion or if this is just find those items.
Means the crystal is likely a full completion. And it's full clearable.
It'll be gutsy to see if he's competent with his Master Sword viddy, although it's definitely something that every runner's had to do at some point.
And Furaime is doing the fake flipper play we mentioned earlier to the Zora area. Or maybe hover first.
Yeah, we've been cash flush for quite a while now. I'm pretty surprised to see that it hasn't been done already, but we're going to get the Waterfall Cave first. JCopes, unfortunately, does not have Sword Beams for this Mire 2. Going to do it kind of slowly.
I mean, we found all this cash on Death Mountain. Not exactly close to the South Shore we need to do the fake flippers on.
That is fair. He does get rewarded with the last mail upgrade. So there's one item we can check here unless you do a second water walk setup, which we did not. The best meringue is hidden on the ledge there. I don't think anybody's going to come back for that, though.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe Zora here gives us a French vanilla surprise. Oh, no.
Nope, just a 4% return.
On the bright side, we're still pretty cash flush here. Well, so that actually is French vanilla. You get 20 rupees instead of the normal 0, and no value anyway, because, you know, if you're an NMG runner, you never even really need the flippers till later on anyway. But all right, so I'm just making it up at this point. But I'm not exactly sure what to expect about where we're heading next. I mean, we've seen Misery Mire here for JCopes4Life. A bust so far, but Furaime heading towards Skull Woods.
Excited. The first part of Skullwoods, it can have the boss item, and you can find all the items and leave the green panel behind. Let's see what kind of clear we'll see. It's from first. Well, that's a nice item to have for Victorious, the magical cape.
You know, probably a very great place to find it just because of that. I mean, you know, there's not a whole lot of places where we need it besides Bumper Cave. Some people use it in Ganon, but that's a fantastic place to find it if there were one. And just to confirm chat's question, nobody has checked Bumper Cave yet. And no, you can't fake Flipper Indoor. I was talking out my face. Well, we can't yet, at least.
Big key is in banana location, so even if Furaime gets the duelist in Gomo, it's not going to save much time. Well, to the back, the muscular and the fixtures right around the same time now.
You know, I got to admire JCopes4Life not slowing down the heart sound to quarter beep. You know, really making sure that we have our metronomes on here in our Link to the Past randomizer tournament, looking out for the crowd. We know exactly that the BPM is correct and that there is no advantage with frame rate between these runners. Great confirmation.
And Jacob just did a neat little trick. If you hook shot the heart, it might reveal 2 instead of 1. Although he
Oh, he
did
got a
take a
double.
yeah, he did got a double, but he also get a laser to the back right after that.
That's super hype. There's a lot of places you can do it. You usually see it the most in Swamp Palace right before the boss. But yeah, anytime you have a freestanding heart, you can use a hook shot or a boomerang. Holy smokes, Furaime melting the moth. Having no major issues here.
Yep, face tanking the boss with that red mail. With red mail, it's you just standing mouse and slash it. It does only have a heart, instead of Spike doing 1.
Well, no spookiness in this mire. JCopes4Life, however, down to 4 hearts. Gotta be real careful in this fight.
He does have a cave and 2 green potions, so I think he'll be. Whoa! What to find here in the back of Skullwoods? A fast exit. The mirror. Hey, come on,
Oh, bombs.
hey, come on, bro. I mean, just found the mirror. Why not give the pet chat?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we have that book, you know, if there's a time to do it. Might be waiting to, well, we already finished Mothia. Yeah, there's kind of confused by that myself.
I mean, probably not in his mind because it's just find the mirror. And there's one unfinished business here in Skullwoods, the big chest. That one has another item. So you got to be careful on blue mail, the big eye does 3 heart per hit. He has 3 hearts, so he cannot get hit here.
Yeah, JCopes living on the edge here. Doesn't really matter if you take damage from the goo, of course, but like you mentioned, Blast Egg, this is not a fight to take trivially. However, JCopes4Life has finished with the Eye Doctor here. Gonna move on and outwards away from Meyer, only getting a piece of heart from the boss fight, and Bumper Cave looked to be bombs, I believe.
Furaime with the mirroring hand going to rod in Graveyard Ledge as well.
You know, chat just mentioned pizza rolls, and I am starving. Hopefully, we find less burritos in these dungeons, though, and we find more of them in real life in my apartment.
Well, unfortunately, that's not pizza roll, that's just some toast.
Well, not finding a whole lot anywhere at this point. This seed is not relinquishing the most important items for us here. JCopes4Life's going to do his fake flipper there, and Furaime, having checked north Light World, opting to head to Mire. Ooh, there is a checkerboard cave possibility here as well.
Well, he cannot enter Mire, so this is Checkerboard Cave.
Oh, right, we didn't get Quake.
So Jacob is going to be trailing Furaime's step into desert and find the bowl and then head to Eastern as well. But where is the hammer or flippers? That's the question.
I mean, I loathe to say it, but 45 minutes in, and we have technically not taken away our Aghanim play. from the script, and we have the worst meringue in Checkerboard Cave, slow mode if you wanted to use that one. I'm kind of curious as to where next, progression check will be.
So Furaime is likely deciding to go into Thief's Town without hammer here. Or he's doing the purple chest with and the grove ledge with the mirroring hand.
Well, Jacob's having found that bow is likely to head to Eastern Palace at this point, immediately following this dungeon. But after that, I don't know what you would do at this point. Skull Woods is doable. Oh, so we still can turn in the green pendant, and Furaime still might end up doing that after this. Although, if you find Quake Medallion and suddenly you have one dungeon available to you, would you personally go to Mire, or would you turn in that pendant?
I would still complete Maya first, cause a pendant you can turn in like whenever, and whatever you find other than silver is not going to help you there. So it looks like runners are chasing each other, so this is a good time to say if you enjoy the race you're watching, don't forget to follow the runners, JCopes4Life and Furaime. And if you like to watch more randomizers, there's the Speed Gaming Network, that's Speed Gaming's this channel, use Speed Gaming 6, and we have other language as well. I believe it's French and German and one another, I forgot.
Spanish.
Spanish. And there's also ALTTPR randomizer channels. That's ALTTPR randomizers to ALTTPR randomizers 4 or 5.
Yeah, so lots of places to catch this tournament, and even in the top 32, these are best of threes, so there's still plenty of time to get some of your randomizer fix in. I'm really excited about the multilingual casts that we're starting to see. I've actually caught a few of the Spanish and German ones myself. Didn't understand a lick of what was said in German besides what is pretty similar. But folks, if you have any interest in participating in that, head on over to the Speed Gaming Discord. Usually you see a link posted in this chat every now and then by the bot. I'm always looking for more volunteers, and we'd love to cover this in more languages. All right, so for those of you just joining us, we've had pretty similar steps retraced across both of our racers here. We are currently on the hunt for a hammer or flippers to finally vanquish the Aghanim logic. That is the only thing preventing us from getting to Palace of Darkness in sequence. And if we don't find boots, we can't do a water walk either.
The thing is, we might not need to do the Path of Darkness unless the hammer is in there, because that's a pendant as well. Although for Furaime, the Hera area is open. That's like 3 items, the Ether Tablet, plus the 2 items in Hera.
Oh, that's a good point. We now have one of those tablets available to us with the mirror.
Actually,
you could still
both of
go to
them.
the other one, just takes a long time. Well, here's that Eastern Palace play for JCopes4Life. Furaime is going to pick up that purple chest, which we know didn't give us a whole lot. This will give the quite a few items along the path, and actually, as you were just about to tell me before, yeah, this might be a good reason to go to Bombo's tablet.
So he's going to find 2 new items in South of Grove and Bumbles Tablet. Let's see if those panels pans out. If it does, Jacobs needs to go to Skullwoods pretty fast, and I think he will because he's running out of other options. Well, let's go now. Speed of Furaime's victorious fight.
Yeah, definitely not anything that JCopes4Life could have looked forward to in that scenario. Very nice to have those at any point before you've killed all of your bow vulnerable bosses. Um, with Misery Mire being the only big one, it will help later on though. JCopes4Life might not end up having to come through there if he finds his progression elsewhere.
If he finds his gold mode before the he already did purple chest, so if he finds gold mode before doing this, he might not do that.
And just a boss heart container for Furaime on that tablet, so that's a bit of a bust, but we can't check the other one until we go back up to the top of the mountain with that mirror. So looking like Furaime is going to exhaust as many things in the overworld as possible before heading back up there.
And finding better quit, Furaime is going to beat Missing Mire. Likely faster Missing Mire with with bow and silvers in hand. Well, past the boss at least. The item check is going to be slow.
Yeah, definitely a very fast boss kill. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to finish up the dungeon. Speaking of boss kills, JCopes4Life heading into the Armos Knights fight probably would have liked to have these silvers at this point. Well, on the bright side, Furaime does have, sword beams at this point, so we could see a very fast Mire 2 here. Let's see if he's got his execution up to snuff today. For not having boots, that's a pretty decent one cycle, or, well, two cycle, early two cycle for Furaime in Mire 2, so definitely getting through there pretty quickly.
Yep. Let's see what JCopes4Life do now. He does not have much option other than Skulls.
I know it's a cruel thought, but could you imagine Hammer being behind fake powder? Or, well, real powder, but, that could have been like the sequence break that could have paid off big time or something.
Yeah, I totally good with mirroring that in the pretty early spot.
But that troll, we will never know until we find that powder, or if somebody, wants to revert all the way back. I think we've had a save and quit since then, though. And neither of our runners hard reset. That's something to keep in mind. Well, you mentioned before needing to go to Skull Woods. Looks like JCopes4Life is diving deep into there now. Should be able to collect everything from here, including that mirror.
And he might give us a pet check. Might.
Yeah, we could get that. It's a good time to.
I mean, at this point, you are worried about pet, but not convinced it's going to be needed. Because it can have flippers, likely, it could have boots, I think.
Yeah, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this seed right now and where it wants us to go. Well, you did mention Tower of Hera before. I mean, that's looking pretty likely.
Mm-hmm. So we're literally changing place from like 10 minutes ago when Furame is doing Muscular and Jacob is doing Victorious. We are the complete opposite right now.
Yeah, thankfully for Furaime with those silvers, we have a pretty decent shot at getting a zero cycle. JCopes4Life having no real advantages over Furaime in this fight, unless he wants to use some of his green goo, which is totally understandable. This is a fight that calls for it. Well, we've seen spin strats for the Moth from both of our runners today. Getting above Mothula is a really great position to be, but these spikes are just giving JCopes4Life nightmares.
And he only has blue mail, so whatever attack monster do, it's going to be one heart.
Ooh, down to half a heart here.
He might need a cape.
That's smart strategy, making sure he survives that fight. And if you came here to see lightning attacks from Vitreous, I hate to disappoint you, or at least Furaime does. Alright, so if I recall correctly, this chest should have the mirror, if I recall.
Yep, it sure does. One of the best items you can find here. You don't have to walk all the way back. But he's already setting out the death swap? Not yet.
Well, get your bless RNGs in chat. There could be a pedestal check here. Folks, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Meanwhile, Furaime is giving us the green pendant check.
Ooh, a short sword slash for JCopes4Life, finding out it is just a heart container. Or no, heart piece. What about the cowboy man also giving us a heart piece? Getting triple trolled here.
So what other location have we not checked? The Hera area, the 3 items. Furaime is going there right now.
Yeah, we've really reduced it to the ridiculous at this point. JCopes4Life will probably check the pendant and then head right up the mountain, because, I mean, they've done pretty much everything the same. Well, there are some mirror locations that JCopes can check, so that's also on the table for him.
Yep. And after that, are we down to Ganon and Pod area?
I mean, it's getting to that point. It sure feels that way.
Oh, and Spike Cave. No wait, Spike Cave needs the hammer, so no Spike
Yep.
Cave for them.
Well, in terms of logic, it sure feels like it's, you know, our runners need to stop. It's hammer time. Time to check the other tablet, though, for Furaime leaving no stones unturned or unrubbled, and just a 50 for that. Cash we definitely don't need right now.
Yeah, after Hera, other than the one chest in Ganon, there's also one chest in Swamp they can check, and they can fake Flipper to Ice Palace, hoping to get lucky. I'm not sure how likely you'll find the hammer there.
I'll tell you, though, it's really nice to have sword beams here in Hera just to hit those switches. Those tend to be pretty annoying. So with just Big Key and the map in our pockets, we have to go upstairs just to find the rest of the progression of this dungeon. We might not have to see the basement if we don't see a compass.
Yeah, we don't want to see a compass and the smoky up here. You know, this smoky can also lock cell if I remember correctly.
Well, we have a pretty straightforward bomb jump that we can do in this situation to get back across. I'm wondering if, yep, Furaime is going to attempt it. Nice little wraparound to get it, but unfortunately drops not being completely against the ledge there. Had a really good setup for it, though.
And yes, thanks for chest of correct me. Without flippers, you don't have any chest in swamp yet.
Oh, no.
I mean, for a runner, that's a plus.
Right. I mean, if you can reduce it to very few locations, you don't have to guess as much. Well, we're running out of places to find items here. Hera having Moldorm as potentially our item gatekeeper, but basement equally likely here. Chad asking about silvers. There's in K45. There's the compass.
Well, we're off to the basement.
I mean, at this point, this is the only location, isn't it?
Yeah, that, or you go to Academy, I guess. You don't have the boots, you can't even waterwalk there.
Are we gonna get a 1 hour in Ganon play? And yeah, pedestal chat was just a piece of heart. Now, this is an interesting juncture to be at because, I mean, what if progression wasn't in Palace of Darkness, or if Palace of Darkness just led us to, say, like, Ice Palace or something? You know, a fake flipper to Ice Palace might be, like, a really solid decision to make. I'm curious to see if anybody's going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that depends on what the seed wanted to have for pot. If it's hammer, then you might. I'm not sure what I'm talking about here. You
No, I get
cannot.
that, though, because then you can finish up Palace of Darkness and makes Aghanim more worth it.
You cannot find flippers in Ice Fire, that's for sure. But can you find hammer there? I'm not sure.
I actually missed the basement item there. Did you catch that?
That's a piece of heart, so likely we're off to Aghanim.
There's those sword slashes. I think Furaime has made that decision, unfortunately. I say unfortunately, you know, for his sake. Obviously, that's the right call to make. Oh, but no. Oh, Furaime may have been reading our minds. Looks to be fake flippering into Ice Palace. Wow.
Or hobo. It's also big flipperable.
That's true. That's another good point. So we can at least check these items and figure this out. Well, so we were talking earlier, really early in the race, about an hour ago, about, you know, game one gambles, and this might be a pivotal decision here. I mean, it could even still lead to Aghanim, depending on what Furaime decides to do leaving the hobo.
Mm-hmm. And JCopes, I still. Does he do the Sora area? I don't remember so.
I don't think so. Looking at rupee counts, although that's not really accurate at this point between the two, I don't think he has. Yeah, I got confirmation. We have not done a Zora play for JCopes4Life, so that is another check he's behind at this point. Obviously, it didn't pay out. Well, it paid out, just not much. And Waterfall Cave was red mail, so that's the only benefit there. Nothing we would need for Aghanim, at least.
Yeah. I mean, we have what we need for Aghanim from the from Endgame and Secret, so that's relatively early.
Well, Furaime entering the Hyrule Castle Tower at about an hour and 5 minutes. Gold guards not standing a chance against these silver arrows. This is a little lopsided of a journey up the castle, but here we go.
Yeah, this is going to be a fast one.
Well, JCopes4Life probably going to get the Zora play out of the way here now that we've been talking about it, but could still end up taking that actually back through another fake flipper, or just doing one again here from fluting to go to Ice Palace. So that's still on the table. We haven't seen that yet, but I doubt we'll see it just yet. Furaime dodging some damage boosts just over some gaps, actually. Some pretty good movement through here to recover around that. Having a pretty good climb overall, though, despite some small mishaps. Unfortunately, we don't have a boomerang, so no fast strats in the pot room coming up ahead.
Well, the only boomerang in the logic is the inferior one, the one in checkerboard.
Right, so naturally, we're not too worried about that today. Still going to have a pretty fast room. Going to use hook shot instead. Even faster circle of pots room. Incredible. Well, I already see some guesses in chat. How many blue balls do we have today? Remember, this is RNG is set in this regard for randomizer. So both of our runners, when they do Aghanim, assuming JCopes4Life doesn't do a sequence break to avoid it, will have the same number of them. So get your guesses in chat. Love you to see if you can guess this one right in advance of Ganon's Tower later.
Speaking of sequence break, I think there's one available to go to the river in the dark world that involves dying on top of the water with a fairy revival. I'm not sure how to execute it, but I have heard about that.
Yeah, Fairy Revival is a way to prime the water walk glitch. So that is something that we could do. And JCopes4Life is heading into the west portal into the dark world. I'm kind of curious if that's possibly on the menu today.
I think we'll see the mirror spot first. And is there any very easily accessible around here?
Yeah, I can't immediately think of... I mean, there is actually... well, we don't have the powder, so we can't do the magic bat. And I completely stopped counting the Aghanim blue balls, but by the looks of things, that was a pretty fast fight. And at 1 hour and 8 minutes, we have finally gained access to the pyramid. Time to find out what was waiting for us here. Wow, just a big 20. Holy moly, and confirmation that that was a 0 blue ball Aghanim. And chat having a bit of a reaction to the big 20 on the pyramid. I mean, 1 hour and 8 minutes, you got to feel pretty hopeless when you find that, don't you?
Yeah, at least the sea is somewhat nice. Let it guard. Give you a required Aghanim, no blue balls for you.
Well, is it going to be cat flips today, or is it going to be hammerfish today?
I mean, both of these could have been in pot, or we have a bootsfish today. That's required for desert pass in logic. In reality, we don't need that.
You know, dash fish would be pretty funny. Oh no! And we have simultaneous heart containers for both of our runners. Nobody happy about what they're finding right now.
And one of the rare times where Sapien quit to the pyramid and it's intended.
So Palace of Jebaited, it looks like at this point.
Yep. So our next value is going to be there. So if we find only the flippers here, then the big flipper to ice will be a paying out. But if we find a hammer here, then the flippers can still be in a lot of places, namely Turtle Rock.
Uh-oh. Well, I don't know if you've ever felt like you're circling the drain, but I have to think both of our runners feeling a little bit like that right now. I'm starting to wonder if the hammer was behind fake powder or, real powder being hidden somewhere else. I do find it really interesting what you mentioned, though, about, whether or not we find flippers or hammer in Palace of Darkness, determining what decision would have made the most sense here. Both of our runners are deciding to do Aghanim in advance of this, so no sequence break differences between our runners. Furaime finding out that there is a small key in that first chest, will be able to dive deep into the center of the dungeon.
I mean, at this point, Furaime does not know what the pet has, so he might go clear if I finds the hammer here.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. The boss here potentially skippable, depending on what we do or don't know. And Furaime, as you mentioned, has no idea what's on the pedestal, thanks to not checking it earlier. Well, JCopes4Life having a little bit of bad luck alerting the guards in the dark room here in the castle tower. It's going to waste a little bit of time and health. Probably not too much of an issue in regards to health, but every little bit counts. Thankfully, no blue balls to contend with, so probably not losing any health to the Aghanim fight itself.
Coming out the both side of pot.
Yes, this would be a good place to set up for a death warp. However, we could just find the hammer here, and we're really running out of places to check. So, wouldn't be surprised. Oh no!
That's your real powder. And with mirror, there's really isn't. Oh,
flips. So fake powder is still on the table, but with those flippers, the world just got a lot bigger.
An ice pass bigger.
And as soon as we find that hammer, it'll be Swamp Palace as well. So, this is all kind of coalescing into one shape. However, if there's an item on Helmasaur King, I'm kind of curious if both runners would kill Helmasaur King.
We're not killing Helmasaur King before we find the hammer.
Yeah, that's of course also true. There's still a possibility of finding it here, though. Still several chests to check here, a couple of keys in most of them, though.
Interesting is we still don't have the map and compass yet, so Helmasaur might we have 4 chests plus Helmasaur here left. We haven't yet found any dungeon items.
Well, my first race of this tournament had a hammer at Magic Bat, so a part of me is kind of rooting for it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting if they're going to think they're ahead or behind and when they found out about that.
Oh, and there it is!
And there's... hold on, we're not done with pot yet. This big chest will tell us which Helmasaur has an item. And it has a compass, so there's no need to kill Helmasaur for JCopes. But from my way, we are going to pick that pendant up because he does not know what's on the pedestal.
Palace of Darkness turning into the Palace of Deals, and just amazing finds. Furaime, I'm guessing, hasn't counted correctly, or is either hoping... Yeah, he's remembering. He doesn't need this.
Well, he might want the pendant. He does not know the pedestal.
Well, so this is... Oh, no. Wow. noping out on it. That was actually a critical decision to make. That could have been very costly because JCopes4Life is actually gaining a little bit of steam on Furaime here. About to enter Palace of Darkness himself.
Yep. But the bad news is the whole world is open for that ice rod.
Yeah, so it looks like everybody's surmising the same thing here. It's down to Ice Rod, an hour and 15 minutes in. Finally, we're approaching, well, a semblance of no mode. But this is a race for that, and if JCopes4Life goes to Swamp instead of Ice, we might have a different race here. Yeah, I'm definitely going to ask for well, actually, no, we're not going to have an interview after this because this is a double header. So, folks, you may want to remind the commentators the next race to ask them about that. That's definitely an interesting choice to not check the pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just to remind folks, this race will not be the end of this particular broadcast of these particular racers. Definitely encourage you to give them both a follow. They're putting on a great show for us, but they're actually putting on a double header for us. So what's going to happen is after the race is over and we've, rolled the credits, they'll have a 5-minute break in between and they'll get started on the next race immediately. So stay tuned, folks. Plenty of randomizer action here.
Totally. And we have Jacob pick up his powder while Furaime is going through the Ice Palace.
Making the bomb jump look pretty simplistic. Nicely done by Furaime there. Probably one of the most practiced bomb jumps for most people, though.
Mm-hmm.
While we're diving further into Ice Palace, still haven't found that ice rod. Would be a, I guess, appropriate place to find it in terms of thematic, stuff going on here. But we don't have anything preventing us from checking everything, so we're taking the long road all the way around the dungeon. I'm not going to leave any stone unturned until we find it.
Yup. We're finally got the second chest here in Ice Palace. And got our first item, a big 20. Second bombs.
It's been mentioned in chat, but it is still possible that we could require boots for Ganon's Tower. There's a 1 in 22 chance, but it's still up there.
And if we really require boots in Ganon's Tower, and we know that's not going to be in Ganon's Tower because we need the boots for one of the crystal in Desert Pass. That's a boost lock dungeon, but for small key. But that small key only need to map and compass in the general route.
Well, it looks like we found for the cane, the bigger, bluer brother Brian here in Ice Palace, giving us a better way to bork the blue balls. Unfortunately, too late for that.
And that's our last item in Ice Palace, so he's not going to check any other chest. Notably, the infamous Ice Tea Room.
Yeah, so time to take on the Cold Stare and get our crystal for this.
And look at the left side, we have the divergence. This could This could close up the race here.
Well, Master Sword Cold Stare, not an easy fight, but we have quite a lot of health and red mail. I'm going to opt to switch to the hammer, seeing as we do have some health to spare here. I agree with this. And yes, if you're just tuning in, we're still looking for that ice rod. That is the one cat in the bag that we have to discover here.
And potentially boots, but we don't talk about that.
First chest in Swamp Palace says this is the diversion, is going to be the big key. Very nice to find. However, JCopes4Life really banking on finding that ice rod here. That would be a gigantic turnaround for this race. Furaime heading towards Village of Outcasts. Kind of curious. This is looking like Magic Bat to me.
Yep, 6-time big chest, magic bag, and the pet cave. Maybe a pencil check after that? Not sure.
All right, the bat signal has been displayed. It is in the sky. Furaime answering the call, but on the way, gonna make sure to check this peg cave. Gonna have to do it the slow way, unfortunately, but we're hammering away at it. We'll be in there shortly. $50 roops in the peg cave, and JCopes4Life only finding finding that ice rod immediately. We are in go mode at 1 hour and 22 minutes and 43 seconds. JCopes4Life has taken the lead.
Lead, not sure. We'll see after Furaime does after this, but I agree Jacobs is a pretty good position right now. Entering go mode first, and he gets to go mode the rest of Swamp Pass and Ice Pass.
Now, of course, folks, I could still be wrong. We could be technically in no mode if boots are required for Ganon's Tower, but at this point, we are go, 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 for the dungeons at least.
Yeah, and since we know the boots cannot be in Ganon's Towers, if they found the boot big key on the Taurus, they would just straight nope out and clear the rest of the overworld.
Still a pretty decent chance that we'll find it in Turtle Rock, though. I'm kind of curious to see if we'll find stuff there. Also worthy of consideration here, JCopes4Life finding that ice rod there means that he will not have any extra advantage here in Swamp Palace over Furaime, because Furaime will definitely check that chest before going left, or at least should. I mean, he will have the big key at that point. So at this point, the advantage comes from Ice Palace. That go mode will be a significant time save for JCopes, but will it be enough?
Not sure, but it's going to be pretty close, I guess. I think we're going to see a less than 1 minute difference floating to Death Mountain for Turtle Rock.
Well, at this point, we have a pretty slow fight for Argus since we only have Master Sword. This is kind of the way of Vanilla. You were kind of intended to fight him. But there's not going to really be another sword unless Furaime, for whatever reason, decided to go left side and check and find one. This does put a Master Sword Ganon on the table. Silvers, though, that's not too bad. Well, it took a few attempts, but JCopes4Life does sink the silver home on the Pirate King Argus, or Argus, depending on how you prefer to pronounce that name. But with that, it's just Ice Palace before he heads to Turtle Rock. That should be a pretty quick dungeon as well.
Mm-hmm. And Furaime is closing in on his ice rod as well. It's after this room, and go walk around in the south room, and then he'll go to find his ice rod. And and enter his goal. 21 of 22 goal mode.
Well, Furaime could save even more time if he checks the chest in the middle first here. Not exactly that common to do so, but yeah, he's going to end up going the long way. So a little bit more time saved for opportunity for JCopes4Life here, even though he checked that chest as well. Just a little extra time to start clearing out Ice Palace here.
At 1 hour 22:28, Furaime enters goal mode. It's a rush to the boss in their respective dungeons for now.
And both of these fights are not fast. Master Sword Cold Stir, as we saw before, I mean, Hammer definitely helps, and if you have any Fire Rod remaining. This might be a situation where you'd see someone use a potion. Seeing a good Stalfos Knight room from JCopes4Life there. Getting through his conveyor room as well. Furaime actually checking a couple of extra chests, maybe still looking for that sword.
Yeah, Timberstraw speeds up the endgame considerably. So having a few pretty quick chests to check, it's a good idea to check those.
Well, if you wanted to see the bomb strats for Pen Gators, JCopes4Life has your back, fam. We just saw it on the left there. Excellent strategy to use some of those bombs that we're really not taking advantage of in any other situation. Ooh, Furaime taking great advantage of sword spins with double hook shots. This is going to be a much faster fight.
Yep.
Wow, this is expertly done. That's a pretty significant time save. If Furaime had done the same strats as JCopes4Life, there would be a chance for some conversions here. But by the looks of things, Furaime will be the first on top of the mountain. I think you were about right when you said that we should probably expect about a minute or so difference. Presuming, of course, JCopes4Life has a good fight here. It looks like we're going to use that potion.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, no sword spin, so less efficient fire rod shots here. Well, health not so much an issue here, more just the time it takes to finish this fight. Gonna take a lot of sword slashes to take down these cold stare puffs, but it looks like JCopes4Life is able to finish it up. Furaime heading up the mountain now. Folks, we have a race. This is pretty tight.
Mm-hmm.
This is certainly within the margin of error of left-right in Ganon's tower. You know, we do have chat pointing out the fact that JCopes4Life has used all potions at this point. Furaime does have a green goo remaining, so I'm kind of curious to see if there's going to be a stop along the way up the mountain.
Yep, he's getting some potions.
I can imagine a scenario where magic becomes scarce and Ganon comes down to this blue potion decision. I mean, even health. At this point, we do not have really much of safety at all in that regard.
So looking at chat, it looks like it's 1 minute 30 difference. Floating to Death Mountain, and Furaime just entered Turtle Rock.
Yeah, he enters at 1:30:43 if you're tracking that sort of thing. However, in Turtle Rock, we are doing go mode, so really not much to check here. Although, you know, for how much or for how similar it is to do go mode compared to full clear this dungeon, I'm kind of wondering if we won't check a couple of extra chests anyway.
I mean, the only extra chest we have here is the big key chest, right?
And we could potentially skip one of the like that vanilla big key chest, depending on how the key logic works.
Yeah, and the laser bridge as well. That's the potential skips here in Turtle Rock.
Well, Keen of Burner Strat's very effective for Furaime, knowing that he's going to get a full magic refill or full magic decanter on the way back in. Seeing some discussion in chat about these sprites that our runners are using. Fun fact about that: there's like 100 different ones you can use, and they're all amazing. Made by the generous time being given by members of this community who have, you know, set aside their time and effort to make fun, playable sprites. Shout outs to everybody who's involved in making those. It's definitely a pleasure to have so much diversity of choice here.
Mm-hmm. And Furaime with the big key in hand, he's likely to get a key from Pokey and skip the big key chest here.
Yeah, so little time saves, it all adds up. We'll see exactly how Furaime chooses to carry through this.
I mean, there's also a chance that Furaime just decide to full kill this thing because there's still an item hanging over his head, landing the boots. But it looks like he's skipping it.
You know, a thought's been drifting in my mind for a little while now, Blast Egg, and I gotta share it. You know, for how close this race is now, and of course we say that every decision has some kind of impact on the end conclusion, but wouldn't it be terrible if the difference here that JCopes4Life has was effectively missing the key rat in Escape the first time around?
Yeah, it'd be pretty feel bad, I guess, but
Yeah, race is definitely not over yet. Plenty of time for a lead change still. Despite JCopes4Life having kind of taken a progression lead a little while ago with that Ice Rod, Furaime was further into Ice Palace, so still definitely a chance for this to even up, but Furaime is in the lead as of now. It has been pointed out that we have two keys walking into the basement of Turtle Rock here, so we do not actually have to go to the laser bridge, but our runners could. JCopes4Life splitting the difference between those anti-fairies. That was a pretty bold move. And of course, yeah, definitely want to echo the sentiments of ETAP in chat. This is game one of their series. Of course, there's a double header, so they're going to be racing back to back here. We get a shovel on the laser bridge, interestingly enough. But so, even if it does end up being, an unfortunate thing where, hey, Kirat kind of, shoots JCopes4Life in the foot, still definitely a chance to redeem next match.
At least we know we're not going to find against our big key from that shovel. Whoa,
No.
that's vocal mode. Furaime's gamble on laser bridge paid off, putting the last 1 in 22 chance in his pocket.
This is so rough, though, because, there's a good reason to think JCopes4Life will skip that. Not to say that he will. Furaime obviously went there, but if JCopes4Life skips it, that's an even more crushing blow.
Maybe, but I'm not sure how much time the boot save at this stage of the game. I'm not entirely sure.
I want to say the big thing is comfort in your GT strats. You can definitely get through a lot of rooms more favorably using it.
True.
We're seeing a really aggressive backdoor strat here for Furaime, though, with Master Sword. I'm pretty impressed by this so far.
And JCopes indeed skipped the laser bridge.
Oh, this makes me nervous. What if Big Key was on Torch?
This is the gamble JCopes knows he has to take after I think he's thinking he's behind the whole race.
Well, hey, speaking of that, we need to start the game. So, folks, you know what time it is. I'm just going to hit it in the chat right now.
Yep.
Ooh, and a tempered sword. What an amazing find. But get your guesses in chat, folks. There are 22 item locations in Ganon's tower. We are heading there right now. Furaime will be the first one into the tower. And 1 through 22, get your guesses in chat. If you are a subscriber or a supporter of Speed Gaming by 250 bits across any of the channels, or subscribe to any of the channels, you are eligible to be entered into our leaderboard as well, if you were the first one to guess it and the closest to it. So, Blast Egg, what do you think we're going to find, or where do you think we're going to find it?
I always guess a random number, and today I feel like it's going to be 5.
Ooh, 5. Well, I'm hoping for chest 3. Because I feel like when it rains, it has to pour. No, I'm just kidding. Today I want to see it on 14, Bob's chest. That would be exciting, because then it wouldn't be the big key, and we'd still have a pretty close race here. Well, get your guesses in. We are actually about to cut it off here.
The God GP.
That's number 1.
And Furaime needs to remember he has to take a small key from left side before heading up. Yep, he does.
So... this is actually really good for JCopes4Life, though. This minimizes the difference of time that the boots are going to have. And actually having skipped Laser Bridge, JCopes4Life is pulled within maybe 30 to 45 seconds of Furaime.
Yeah, but the difference is going to be larger within the Gun's Tower Gauntlet itself, and with boots, Furaime has access to the best strat in the Ganon fight on second phase, so that's also going to be faster.
Well, congratulations to Lava and Firestorm for correctly guessing chest number 1. You win our love, affection, and probably JCopes4Life's affection as well. The better scenario for him here. And then, of course, we're a Gan's Tower climb here, away from the end of this race, and our runners are very close, much closer than they were right before this. Holy moly, you need to have at least 11 wins in our leaderboard to show up on that bot command. People have been prolific this tournament. Well, up the tower we go. Furaime diving into the gauntlet. This is a place where execution's favored. I'm kind of curious to see if this is going to be something that pads a lead, or if we're going to have something that kind of evens this up. There's lots of things that can still happen here.
With a nice 10% drop from the Trinex though, it's going to be way easier compared to the Vestor sword they used to have.
Wow, fantastic one cycle for Lamolus 2 from Furaime. Definitely going to be good for him to pad out that lead. This is important to, I mean, because you got to get some kind of insurance in case you fall to Ganon or Trolldorm.
Yeah, and the upcoming room is the one the boots save the most time, the death room. After the two wizard rooms. Let me tell you, without boots, this room are a pain.
Yeah, conveyor belt's very frustrating to deal with. If you thought ice physics were bad, and those are definitely going to be bad as well.
And there's another room after that has both the conveyor belt and the ice physics. That's right after Modern 2.
And for those of you who didn't catch Turtle Rock, Tempered Sword was on Trinex. Well, we're not stopping for anything. No reason to really get Gold Sword. Definitely not going to help us out much. Tempered Sword, pretty comfortable fight for most people at this level. And I can't think we're going to check the Moldorm 2 chest. This would be an opportunity for some folks who are really good at button mashing to try and hover across the gap, but we're going to kill Moldorm 2 today.
A 2 cycle Lemos 2 for JCopes. I mean, I think we're within a range of a Ganon, so it's still pretty tense.
And of course, if we have any trouble with our Trigonaganim tree, our Aghanim 2 fight, potentially the angles could give us some problems. Angles for dangles, I suppose.
The test of their angle shooting skill.
And this is a preset fight for each of our runners. We're going to get a potential triple out of Furaime. That may have been an overlapping shot, though.
Yeah, I think that's overlapping. That's a double-double, I just presume.
But that is technically a setup that you can get a triple-double on. He's getting 3-phase Aghanim 2, which is a fantastic fight anyway.
Yep.
So interesting thing about this is, with the green goo, there's a good chance he'll probably try to bust out the cape or maybe even Canterburna, but probably the cape for this fight and use it for the first 2 phases. But will that be enough magic to, get everything off with the torches later on as well? You got to be judicious about your ammo count or your magic meter in this particular scenario here. We're getting a pretty standard attempt at a 1+1 cycle from Furaime here, but unfortunately missed a couple of slashes, so we're going to get 2 in 1, looks like.
Yep, we're on to phase 3, 2 and 1.
And not too far on his heels, JCopes4Life and the Moldorm 2 fight already. We're seeing quite a few Ganon warps here. This makes a fall even more punishing. Of course, the number of Ganon warps is random after the first attempt at this fight. Well, moment of truth, this would be... Oh, don't use that mirror. Oh, you can't even mirror out of here, can you?
I'm not sure where less than 2 actually.
Getting a nice double, almost a setup for another shot, and then 2 arrows here should finish it up.
And he does.
Well, presuming we don't fall off the ledge here, Furaime should finish this up as the victor today.
Being the first match today, we still have a second match coming right after.
Well, with that, Furaime will finish this race as the victor with an official speed racing TV time of 1 hour, 45 minutes, and 25 seconds. GG's in chat, folks. What an exciting finish. And not to be outdone in terms of, finishing up these fights, JCopes4Life is emerging from Ganon 2, taking the one time the duck goes to the dark world to chase after this bat into the bacon fight. Well, this has been a wild ride, folks. We have had over an hour Aghanim required seed here. Both of our runners making very similar decisions at different times for the first half of this entire race up until that point. And then afterwards, it was an interesting divergence between JCopes4Life and Furaime about going to Ice Palace versus Swamp Palace, following our hammer and flippers in Palace of Darkness ahead. So that ended up being quite a difference for JCopes4Life coming back into this race. Unfortunately, looking to be about 2 minutes behind Furaime in the total finish, but an amazing race to watch for both of these runners. I'm sure Blastegg, you would agree. I mean, this is definitely cause to give these runners a follow. I definitely want to see more from these guys.
Yep. So I think that major difference in this race is mainly up to execution, and that put fun in Laserbirds is a god war from Furaime there. Jacob is also getting a good double-double.
And with that, JCopes4Life will walk into the Triforce room, having finished off Ganon fight at official speed racing TV time of 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 51 seconds. GG's again in chat, folks, please, for this exceptional race. I'm very impressed on my end. I don't know about you.
I'm also very impressed, but their second race is coming up very shortly, so it's time for us to sign off and hand it off to the second commentary group. That is the...
Absolutely. So what we're going to have is a 5-minute break after these credits roll. So we'll definitely hand it off to our next crew. Just a couple of business things to take care of here so that everybody knows what's going on for this tournament coming up. The next race will be the last of the day. It'll also be here on Speed Gaming. We should be getting started shortly with that, I imagine, within 10 minutes or so. And that will be commentated by Nihon Tiger and Sabatender. Today, I have been Eudaimonistic, and Blastegg joined me on the commentary. We have Iceman F1 doing our tracking. Thank you, and shout-outs to you for doing that. As for the rest of this weekend, we have a handful of matches both tomorrow and Sunday across all of the Speed Gaming channels. So I definitely recommend that you give those all a follow so that you can stay tuned on all of the tournament action here.
So, see you next race in a few minutes.
Yep, we'll see you in about 10. But for today, I've been Eudaimonistic, joined by Blastegg. Folks, we'll see you next mission.